Der- Derivative trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, well, a little late today, so I missed that open. Slow start. So what we got going on here is yesterday we had a pretty strong move down, but they pushed back up and distributed at around 04, 03 half. And now you can see here in the morning session, they've distributed there again, and we are on the top end of the distribution just below our key 070 level. Uncertain if it's going to push through it or it's going to push back. I think the probability is that they're going to push back, so I think that we could have a short here. We have a Fed meeting, so I don't think that people are going to want to try and push it super strong until, not a Fed meeting, but Chairman Powell is testifying today, so might be slow here at the beginning. Let's grab links. See, but right now I'm seeing that you've got 43.71 on the bid. We're moving up. That's an unusually strong bid that isn't supported by the 5-year or the 10-year. The 5-year is already ticked down. It hasn't been affected. The 10-year hasn't been affected yet. Unusually high bid, and here these guys at 07 don't appear to be moving out of the way either. So I think this is a lure. I think that they're trying to get filled at 07 short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a stop limit here. I think that's a good way to handle this. This 065 pulls it all, would come down. I should be able to get filled. Got some food, so I'm going to eat here a little bit. That offer is trying to look tough. Oh, I should note there is some news here in 2 minutes, but it's Canadian news manufacturing sales month over month. Okay, well, that happened exactly the way that I expected it to. But I think that fill is maybe a little questionable. Okay, so now we should see there's a volume node. There was a little bit of action here at 050. You can't see it because you can't see it on the volume profile, but you can see it on the 1-tick chart. They went back and forth there for a while. So I think that's a target. And then, of course, the volume, the middle of the profile here at 035. And maybe if we're lucky, we get to see the other side of the profile. We just kind of got to watch this like a hawk. Could still tick up. Let's not like celebrate. They could still tick up. Although this 06 getting weak definitely looks in our favor. Canadian news is passed. Okay, bit of an iceberg there at 06 half. Or sorry, not at 06 half. 16 half in the 5-year. Or I'm talking about. I like this 1819 that traded here in the 30-year too. And this look good in the 30-year if we get a downtick here. So there they just tick down again. So 30 years leading lower. See if these follow. And tried to go bid and it failed. Okay. It failed to get through at 06. The 5-year's not ready to go yet. Hmm. I don't like that 06 isn't staying offer, but they're not hitting the bid in the 5-year. So, the balance between the bid and the offer at the moment says that they shouldn't be able to tick down anyways. So as of yet, that iceberg does not necessarily concern me. Or I mean, that's why I'm not letting the iceberg, um, destroy the trade or just take the tick there, because it's not in a place where it should be ticking down yet. If they flipped around and they started hitting the offer, then I would be more concerned. But I still think that they're going to tick down. We just need to wait for the 5-year and the 30-year to be set up for it as well. Okay, so that tick was kind of confirmed what I was saying was right. It wasn't until they started hitting the bid in the 5-year that we ticked down, and you can see that it didn't take very much for them to do it either. And since there was so much, I mean, it's not so much, but I mean, 2000 is a decent amount in the 5-year. Since that much actually hit into that 16.5, if they're able to stay below this 16.5, those guys are going to have to puke. That could give us the move that we need. Well, it was 16. Let's reset this, since that's clearly where they want to line up at the moment. They ticked back up, which is not necessarily surprising either. But we definitely want to see our edge hold here. So we can move that up to there, because that shouldn't be pulling. That should never happen, so. Be expected, because the 30-year has the ability to move a little bit more, and so the 30-year could tick up and be out, everything else still be down. Only 5 orders have bought in the 10-year, and nothing is bought in the 5. That doesn't mean that it can't tick up, but because all it would take is one big order to buy their 06.5. But at the moment, if you really want to buy, if you think that we're going to get above 070, why would you hit into 06.5? The probability that you're going to get filled at 06 is just too high. But then the problem for those buyers is that if they sell into 060, how much are they going to try and bury them? Now, I think the good thing for them at the moment is that every time that they try and sell through 06, it fights back. So that makes it a safer place for buyers. But, you know, if they're able to hold a good offer there at 06, it's not going to look good for the buyers. And I think that you could get a cascade of people at 05.5 and 05 might pull and get out. And especially if the 5-year is able to get below 16. If the 5-year gets below 16 there, we could get some downside. It's a little difficult because that 1 5 3/4 in the 5-year has been a level many times before. Well, now they're absorbing at 16.5 again. Yes. Okay, so there's a tick down, or sorry, a tick up against us that doesn't look too good. Now, this offer is not pulling a ton, but the offer in the 5-year is. The 5-year is looking like it wants to go for it. So I'm a little worried we might get stopped out here. But I think that I have my stop in the right, everything's set up right here, so I think I can just kind of sit back and see what happens. There's only 1676 to lift it. There was a big order of 726, and then a couple small orders that followed it, and that was all that it took to tick it up. And it just seems a little weird. It's kind of funny that with as much volume as the 10-year has been trading, that's all it takes now. Okay. Sellers came in there, but they weren't able to keep it offer. That sucks. So I lost one tick. Refresh. Nope, it gave me 2. where's my strategy? Is this one right? Oh, it is just the regular stop. So if we're just going to have a regular stop like that, it's going to have to be more than 1500, I think. Okay. Notice that the strong bid is back. We moved up there without an actual big change in the cumulative delta. We're coming right up to where that big order is in the 10-year. They are stacking up behind us. Interesting. Oh, I don't have the, that should have told me a block cell. So it goes through us, it goes back up 2 ticks, and now it's right back to 06 half 7. This 06 half is a little too weak to play it the way that we played it before. Too much of a chance that they push back up to take it now, I think. Yeah, it's still unfinished. That's a good point, John. How do you recognize the unfinished auction? Right here. Like this. That is not what it was supposed to look like. Now you can't see it. Hmm. I'm worried that I'm a little trade happy because now I want to buy it. But honestly, we've been in like a 3 or 4 tick range since the open. I think I should just wait until the E-mini trades. Maybe wait until 8. Well, there's an okay downtick. It's funny because I'm sitting here saying, well, that chart pattern looks up. And at the moment, I feel like I want to sell it. Well, I like what I'm seeing right there. Nope.
Block buy.
Blocked by there and it didn't stay bid. Well, that might be what the sellers need to push it lower. Okay, well, I pulled the order at oh 06. Would never have gotten filled. If it had gotten filled, you would have a tick. Not a very strong tick, though. Hmm. Even if they break through that unfinished auction at 11, they're still at 13. Yeah. I'm seeing the oh 06 half as becoming the key price here. And where we go is going to depend a lot on where they come out, because there does appear to be some imbalance created here at oh 06 half. Well, for a day that so far has been pretty slow, sure got a lot of people watching. I really liked that initial trade. And when it traded down, I was looking really positive, but it just didn't go. Sometimes it just happens, I guess. I think the only thing maybe I could have changed on that one was that when we did get a tick up, and I was like, well, we'll just see. It's probably going to stop me out. Like, probably could have gotten out right then and there and gotten out break even. So I would think I was kind of proven wrong before it stopped me out. Right now, I'm just not sure which way to take it. The 30-year is acting like it's going to go down. Yeah, this like 4 tick range here between 8 and 12. Sorry, 7 and 11, really. And at the moment, it's sitting down at the bottom like they're going to push through it, and I'm not sure if that's what's actually going to happen. I'm getting sleepy. This really, I think that we're gonna stay here until the E-mini in 10 minutes. And then we might get a little bit of volatility, but that still might be a bit range bound, and then we'll get the whole Fed chairman notes after he speaks. Then we can talk. I'm gonna guess that. Let's not say I'm going to guess. How can I put this? I believe the probability is that Chairman Powell's comments are more likely to be hawkish, given the past statements by him, where things are at in general. I think he's going to say something to the effect of everything looks good and the case continues to be for more rate hikes. So if we do get a market move off of the news, I think it's going to be lower. Has it really been an hour? Yep, it's been in this range for a whole hour. You know, the thing that really sucks about this was that when I took that trade, that really looked like that was the bottom, sorry, the top of the range, and that they weren't going to get over 7, and that was the end. And then they extended it up 2 ticks, and so really when you look at it now, at least what we can see on the DOM at the moment, where we sold is actually the bottom of the range. Exactly the wrong spot to be selling. You would want, at the moment, you would want to be buying 06 half and selling 07 half. Now how long that holds, who knows? So we're probably just going to be sitting here for another 30 minutes before we do anything. This is my guess. We have a link for Powell. So my recollection of how this testimony stuff works in the past is that he'll have an opening statement, and that opening statement isn't released right away, and you'll get a market move. And then he'll have the testimony, and things are a little shaky while he's talking, but maybe some opportunity. I think if we take a trade in there off of that, it's going to have to be like either that initial move or just taking ticks. Jeez. See here now is where they're going to make it look like it's going to bust out the top and not do it. And if I see that it looks like it's going to bust out the top and I take a short, then they will. Anthony Sacramucci calls on President Trump to reverse course immediately on his comments made during the news conference with Russian President Putin. I think that would probably be a smart thing to do. I don't think that trying to argue against these indictments is a winning strategy. Even though it doesn't seem like we get all of the information from those indictments, it's still a pretty solid source of information. And you want us to believe that the FBI is basically making up everything that it says in that document, I think is kind of stretches the limits of credibility. So he does kind of need to come back and say, well, I just don't want to make a conclusion until courts have figured it out or something like that. Or he could just say, well, hey, that forum was not the place to call them out on it, and I made a mistake. I think that's what I would probably do. I'm not so sure that's what he would do, though. Hey guys. Oh, Jose, I don't always necessarily read the comments right away. I always see the comments by the end, but you know, I'm trying to focus on what I'm seeing mostly, and sometimes when you read people's comments, it can kind of influence your trading, and I've been trying to avoid that lately, so I don't always necessarily see the comments right away. Uzi says that the trade location and the risk management was good, and it just didn't follow through. Yeah, I do feel like that's kind of what happened. I mean, the one thing you could say is that, like, it didn't take a whole lot of orders to push us through there, did it? I don't know if that has it traded through there. Actually, it has. But you know, when it only takes like 7 to 1300 to tick up, you know, it's very easy to be wrong in in an environment like that, right? So maybe we were just ended up taking a trade in an area that ended up being poor, and I couldn't necessarily have known right from the get-go that it was going to be a poor area, but it was. And now, the thing I keep saying to myself in my head right now is, it's still a bad area. Like it could move out the top or out the bottom. It just depends on what the big fish decide, and there's no way that I can know what they're going to do. So it would be foolish to try and take a trade based on them breaking out of the 08 on the top side or the 06 on the bottom side. The best I could hope for is to maybe buy a tick between 7 and 7.5. And I'm going to guess that that's not. I don't know if that's a high probability trade given this rangy action. If we were getting a lot more back and forth, then maybe I could take the 07, but I'm not seeing enough back and forth at these prices. It's been just way too slow. There's too much of a risk that you're not going to get filled on one side of it. So we wait until the top of the hour and see if that gives us an opportunity. Well, I'm not particularly impressed by where the E-mini is at the moment. I mean, this looks to me in the ES like they could have a bad day today. Yeah, we'll see. Somebody stopped watching. They realized that this is just going to be way too boring. If you don't want to sit here for another 30 minutes and just stare at numbers, you should leave now. Trading is not for you. There is still good things going on. Let's not. So like there's this 3606 at that 07.5 right there. Right? Gosh, need a bigger circle than that. Okay. There's that right there. That matters. There's also a lot of targets that have shown up above us. So there's the 8. But then there's also here at like 10. There's a 5 that's kind of been showing up. And at 12, there's another one that's kind of showing up. And in ZV, it's even more clear. Oh, okay. Zerf is going to trade bonds. That's good. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Zerf was saying his data is having problems. Because, I mean, are you able to actually see numbers on the DOM? So I would just message him, Keith. I think he's online right now. Oh, maybe he's not. He was on last night. But Keith uses, and I have him up in the elite section, but Keith uses the Sierra charts too, and he has some settings that you might find useful. Yeah, that's exactly the way that you treat an unfinished auction. Unfinished auction basically means if we have an unfinished auction and we move away from it, there's a somewhat high probability that we're going to come back to that spot and extend it by at least a tick, which means that at some point today, we're likely to tick that 12. I think that if they were going to sell this, that they would have done it already. I can't help but see this. And then there's all these targets above us. It just seems like the market is long right now. And with this being unfinished here at 12, I do think that after wrangling around here for a while, that maybe they go up. Oh, you're listening. That explanation makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I can see the books on all of them, but the time and sales. Well, so what you want to get set up, serve, is you need to see this middle column here where we can see how many orders have gone through at 07 half since the last tick up, tick down, and I think you have to change a bunch of settings around to get that one. That's the thing that I'm wondering. And if you don't actually get time and sales, then um, if you're not actually getting time and sales data, then you shouldn't. Okay, you have that column. Oh, but it's not showing on the 5-year. Okay, so you really are just not getting that data. That's really weird. So I would, if you're just not getting the data, that's I would contact AMP. And contact AMP, and they would work with the data provider to fix it. Oh, look, ZB did finally tick 12. Okay. That downtick, or at least attempt to downtick at 07, seems a little weird to me. So ZB just extended the range. Yeah, we're gonna miss it. There's your level break setup, 3000 absorbed at 07 half. It's been rangy, so that in and of itself, you couldn't take that. I'm taking it more on that I think I saw Laura there at 07. So I saw Laura at 07 and I'm chasing by a tick. That's what I'm doing here. Yeah. Okay, so we're still okay. Yeah, my thinking about an unfinished auction is like, that's a spot where they turned around not because we ran out of buyers, but because the sellers, for whatever reason, decided that they just weren't going to let it get through that area and they pushed it down aggressively. And so the buyers were cut short of what they wanted. And so if the buyers are able to get control of things again, they're going to try and push it through that spot. Because they weren't done yet. They wanted to keep going and they got stopped. Okay, so there's a bunch absorbed there at 07. think I have my risk in the right spot, because if that 07 is able to stay offer and they start hitting in the 06 half, then there's enough of volume out there at the top that it could push us down. But at the moment, it still looks like a potential level break setup where they've absorbed enough at 07 and 07 half that if they hit that 08, that it's just gonna they're just gonna bust through it. I think that there's probably gonna be 7,000 traded at 08, but that we get through it and there's a stop run. That's what I'm looking to see happen here. Yeah. Okay, now there's a 5 there at 07 half. That's a lot more than should be there, I think. In fact, that iceberg happened through at 07, I think I should have been more patient. You can see I chased it. It would have come back to the 07. I had a buy at 06 half. I think that if that buy at 06 half would get filled, that there's no way that that would have. When you see one form on the bottom of a bar during a pullback, my assumption is the buyer stepped in and supported price at that level. The reverse is true when you see one at the top of the bar, stalling movement to the upside. Yes. Another way of thinking about it is like, let's say we get a stop run. It's going to, generally speaking, when you get a stop run, you're going to see a finished auction. Almost every time. If you don't, then they might continue going through and you might get an even bigger stop run. I've certainly seen that one before. It was a couple of weeks ago where they had that stop run. I think it was a rundown and there was tons of absorption, and so it was like, okay, well, that's a stop run. It might reverse around here. And then almost, you know, not more than 10 seconds later after that, they pushed it again down, and it was ugly. Because the second one, like, so many people had been long there, and all those people got stopped out. All the people that absorbed on the first stop run got stopped out on the second one. Yeah, I think everything is context, though. I think what John is trying to say, though, and he can correct me if I'm wrong because I know he's listening. I think what John is trying to say is that he wouldn't necessarily be taking a trade just based on that the auction is unfinished. His key for whether we trade is what happens at 145.13. Okay, so they traded down. They're pulling a little bit. Yep. Well, they extended it by 1, but they're not moving up really, are they? I don't know if I liked that second trade so much, just because 1, I was chasing a little bit, and 2, we're still before the Fed meeting, right? And I still think that the Fed meeting could push us down. I think that I might be getting a little bit of, I just want to take a trade. Well, That push down was much more aggressive. It's like they're watching me and they just waited for me to do something, and now they're gonna sell it. And if I sell it here to 0.55, they'll flip it around on me again. I'm just gonna wait. Okay, so here's the link. Kind of really want to sell it right here. Now that we've had a sell and we're below 7, and we get below the VWAP, I think that they could try and sell it further. I think they could try and extend the range from yesterday, essentially. Like they might try to get to 30.5. Four minutes. Okay, so notice there's an iceberg at 05. You'll notice that there's almost always an iceberg at the view up. Almost. You'll probably likely see, if they tried to trade back up through 5, you might see an iceberg the other way, in fact. Okay. Seems awfully close to Chairman Powell speaking for this much initiation to be happening. You get there, Moltz. You gotta remember, bots in particular has been trading for a very, very long time. And probably knows more than the rest of us combined. So. And the thing that you have to look forward to is that in a year or two, you'll be at the point that I am, and you still won't be profitable. So let's hope that you are. But at the moment, I'm not profitable today, am I? It's kind of profitable last week, but I still feel like I'm just treading water. I still don't feel like I'm doing too great. Well, I did not think that order at 045 was going to trigger so soon. Wanted to be a little closer to the news. Jeez. Look at all the selling coming in. Hasn't broken 0.5, but that just, it looks like a sea of selling right now. Wow. Well, they hit back almost just as hard, and that got absorbed at 0.5. Okay. So I'm not seeing... This stream hasn't started doing anything yet. Powell, best way for now is to keep gradually raising rates. Inflation to sometimes be above the 2% symmetrical goal. And they ticked up, so they're pulling back. At 0.45 is not. Okay, they thickened up a little bit. I was about to say that's starting to look suspiciously weak. At a great meeting with NATO, they paid $33 billion more and will pay hundreds of billions of dollars more in the future. Only because the mean NATO was weak, it is strong again. The media only says I was rude to leaders, never mentions the money. Okay, here's a C-SPAN link. Okay, here's his testimony. I don't know if this is people unwinding or if this is new business or what. It doesn't appear to me that he said anything all that special. So that could be maybe why they're coming back a tick or two. Okay, that pulled at 045. I think this could continue down. Nope. And that C-SPAN link isn't giving me it either. Okay, now I'm getting video.
Hearing will now come to order. Hey, we welcome.
Well, I wanted to see them push down here. I'm not seeing them push down through my 04 half. When they start asking questions that can get a little iffy. So if this next tick down isn't strong, I may have to take it off. The only thing that concerns me is that there's going to be, okay, so that's what I wanted. I was going to say that the one possibility that concerns me is a few watt bounce, but it just really looked like the way that they came through that they're going to try and push lower. Now they tick down 0.4 half, they're trying to go bid again and they're fighting. And even when they're successful, they're not able to put a whole lot up. And that's good. It stacks back up to 2. 5 years taking it down. Okay, 5 years definitely leading us. So some spots I need to watch is this 0.3 half. Well, obviously the low, and then this 120 from yesterday. So 120 is where we stopped yesterday. Oh boy. So hold on. What does this have to do with monetary policy? You know, I mean, I understand the politicians are going to do their politicking, but I'm a little frustrated because I want them to get to asking him monetary questions. Okay, a little bit more absorption there at 04 than I expected. I think we could go lower though. Okay. Okay. That pushed back much stronger bid that time. Okay, let's see this big order right here in ZF. What? It pulled, it moved up. That was a pretty crazy spoof. Market didn't respond to it at all. It moved up and now it's gone. So I'm also noticing there was an order in the 5-year down at 14 quarter that disappeared. See, it was white, 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 and now it's not there anymore. Okay. So here's his opening statement as that we already have. Okay. Suspiciously strong tick down. Normally, it coming down and 3,000 immediately being on the offer is good, but given the way that it's been happening, it might not mean anything. It could be fake for all we know. Or they could just hit back and buy through the 3. Okay, stacking. Okay. So here, 035 was the first key level that we talked about, right? You can see it over here in the 5-year profile. So this 31 should be the target in CB. I think. Is it that? It's going to be 31. Yep. ZF should be able to take another step down. These two came down 2 ticks. This one only came down 1. Okay. Oops. Okay. So they did trade back through it, but there was a pretty big iceberg. I'm feeling sleepy again. Come on, Seth. I've been really sleepy now for a couple of trading sessions, and I'm wondering if that's affecting my judgment a little bit. I need to work on maybe going to bed early tonight. So here again, it's kind of things that are a little suspicious, like hardly anything has gone through here at 04.5, but the offer is weak. Okay. Too much absorbed there on the one they tried pushing it back. They sold through a lot right there. So that offer at 050 continues to be weaker than it should be. Well, ZF did tick up. But right here is where I think you should see CF pivot if it were actually still in a down. Yeah, right. I just turned into live video and they don't seem to be talking about finance. Because you basically get the Democrat decides to use the moment for a political preaching to the choir instead of getting on with it so that we can talk about Federal Reserve policy. This is just kind of indicative of everything that's going on in politics right now. It's all a big dog and pony show, and the things that actually matter aren't actually given the attention that they should. Well, let's tick back and forth here at 045 many times. But that was the downtick that I wanted in the 5-year. And I can see the pulling at 15. That's good. And there was some pulling. According to this, at least, there was some pulling in the 10-year. I don't see where it was. Let's watch this price, this 6 and this 3 here. I love Bout because like he's so knowledgeable and he's something like, you know, I'm probably giving them more than they need to know or care. So he basically said that the Democrat was full of shit when they said that the stress test wasn't good enough. Well, he's a Republican, so of course. Okay. There's a downtick and ZB is back to where it was. See if they hit the O2. Those birds. Okay. So there was a reasonable offer there. Now they just balanced out, and now the bid is pulling. Okay, so that was 9. That's pulled down to 6. This was 6. Is pulled down to 5. This was 4. Pulled down to 2. I think we can get some continuation here. Wow. So did you guys just hear that one? Okay. Well, he is kind of the Fed chairman, but, you know, you can just ignore his opinion on it. That was basically the Democrat asked a dumb question, and the Federal Reserve guy had a good answer for it, and he realized he was just trying to do damage control there. Sorry if you guys don't care about the politics. I like to keep track of my thoughts on politics so that I can go back in a year and see if my understanding of the politics at the moment ended up being accurate or predictive. Okay, now they're hitting a 1 in the 30-year. Is she upstairs or is she downstairs in the kitchen? Because I hear that she'll whistle at them and then they freak out. My birds. You hear that? You hear all that noise? So he said stress caps are getting weaker. Fed chairman disagrees. I believe he answered this before. The answer is no. Nothing is traded here. Well, only 16 is traded here at 147, but now it's 14. I remember it was like 4,000 at one point. This one here in the 10 years not pulling though. One of the problems I'm noticing is that these offers here at 14.5 and 15 aren't stacking to over 5,000. They are in the 30-year, but not in the 10-year. Okay, they ticked down. Only traded 2,000. There was 4,000 bid there. Thank you. Well, the Democrat certainly tried, didn't he? $18.54. That's how good things are, guys. Okay, so the one did follow us down. This 56. I also like that we've got a strong bid at 02.
Prime age later.
Those birds, they really like my wife. I don't know if you guys heard all that stuff that was just going on, but now they're all quiet and happy because she went downstairs and fed them. So now it's moved down. It's at 01 in ZB. So here we are at 31. That was the key level I noted in the bond. I still see pressure, so I think we could continue and maybe make a new low. I'm waiting. If I see like some big absorption here, I might take this off, especially if I see it in the 10-year. Well, he was very diplomatic about that one, wasn't he? Okay, there's ZF taking another step down like they want to take the low. I don't know. Possible level break. Okay, so we did have a potential pivot there. Okay, I don't like what just happened there too. Hope I don't have this on auto. Thank you. I think so, yeah.
I
think the only thing that you could attribute to the tax bill is maybe the S&P 500 doing so well, because that is forward looking. Okay. Well, okay, so let's tick back and forth here. I do have to get going, so I think that will probably was the right place to take that. I think I certainly could have taken that much earlier. I think part of the problem was that I was in a long trade that I probably shouldn't have been in, and then that long trade failed. If I hadn't been in that long trade, I might have seen the collapse and might have been able to go short earlier at like 055 or 06. Well, not even there. I mean, I was thinking about it and I just didn't want to do it, but I could maybe have gone short here at 06, because there's the 5. And then they pushed through that again. And I could have, I don't know. Yeah, but it was 06 was probably the spot. When we go back and watch that, 3 trades, -2. So it's not terrible. It's better than yesterday. And certainly could do better. And I mean, it was a pretty range-bound day today, so I'm going to post my Bitcoin charts. How's the Bitcoin futures look, by the way?
I just want to be
Okay, well, let's pause this. No, let's just double check here. You got any good comments here? Yeah, not anything new. Just remember, guys, if you have a question, I mean, the best place is to post in the Discord. Oh, yeah, thanks for coming in, Moltz. I always like to see new people come in and participate. We're all learning. I'm still learning. I'm not an amazing trader. Don't think I'm an amazing trader. But yeah, if you guys have comments, the best place is Discord. But if you post them in the Twitch or the YouTube, I'll always answer them at the end. But I don't see anything today. It does look like, you know, I took mine off at what, 03 half. I could have gotten 3. Oh, I actually looks like I could have gotten 4 out of it. Then how much went through at 025 though? Probably not enough for me to get filled. So I could have gotten 3. So it could have been a little more efficient. And of course the entry definitely could have been more efficient. Like, I think I could have gotten 05 or 05 half. But overall, I think it was an okay trade. And it was more of a classic Seth trade, you know, where we came through the VWAP. I knew they were going to go through the VWAP. So we take a trade and just see how far they're going to go. See that that's all they have an appetite for now and take it off. So I'm happy with that trade. I wish I hadn't taken that trade. That one just didn't work out. So maybe best case scenario, we came out 0 or +2 if we had done a little better on this trade. But I don't think I could have possibly have seen this thing right here until it broke. So something I need to watch for and review on this video is how do I know when it breaks that that's actually a break? Because when you have like these ticks down, it seems like, hey, you know, maybe that could fall apart. But then when you got that one, it definitely seemed like we were going to go lower. So what is it that we can see there that can indicate that? Is it the pulling? Let me just check really quick. Did we get more pulling when we started to have those? You can see, well, it's interesting. We can see here some movement in it. Offers started stacking more as we moved down. Much more in this area than in this area. But then in addition to that, it started pulling, so. Okay. All right, well, that's all for today. I will see you guys tomorrow.